kill 7 seconds. But a flag's on the field, the ball's loose, and it's going back the other way. It was picked up, and it's taken in by DJ Hardy. Game over. Northside calls it.
Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to The Sports Scene with Jesse Ough.
Oh, smack a donkey and call me Shrek. Yep, it's me, Jesse Ough. Welcome, everyone, to the premiere of Season 3 of The Sports Scene here on iHeartRadio and iHeartRadio Podcast, presented by First Bet, and now also presented by Sports Fluent Media. So you'll definitely notice that there are some changes this season. Unfortunately, the couch correspondent Max Ronquillo will not be with us, but we wish him all of the best in his endeavors, and he's always got a spot here on the sports scene, should he want to come back in the future. But in our new partnership with Sports Fluent Media, you'll now be able to find us on the digital airways of YouTube every week. So we're super excited for that. So please subscribe, comment, and like Sports Fluent Media. We'll be sure to keep making this content for you if you show us some love there. Hey, we've got a great show for you. So everyone, hold on to your pants. Our special guest is a former NBA center and coach who famously played for my Golden State Warriors. And of course, obviously his Milwaukee Bucks. Coach Paul Mokeski joins me in just a little bit. But first, please welcome back your favorite color analyst and mine, Mr. Alvin Delvey, back for Season 3. Alvin, always good to have you with me, brother. And before we get into our top 5 sports stories for the week, this ain't changing. I'm asking you one random question. And that question is, what is celebrated on February 2nd and is also a film? It just happened.
Jeez, man. I have
Major
no
holiday.
idea.
Come on.
Valentine's Day. That's it. That's all I got.
No, that was literally like 2 days ago. I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give you one more guess,
right.
since I'm happy to be back here with you on the sports scene. What you got?
It's gotta be a New Year's of some sort. I feel like. Jeez.
The major holiday.
All right. I'm going.
It just happened.
I have no idea. The kickoff of Black History Month. That's a holiday for me. All right, let's get
that's
it.
on the 1st, not on the 2nd, Alvin. Okay, I'll give you a random hint. Springtime. It signals the start of spring.
Groundhog Day. I have no idea.
Yes! Yes!
Oh,
yes!
That's crazy.
You got it, baby. Yes, it is, in fact, Groundhog Day. Can you tell me what the name of the groundhog is also?
Oh, there's no chance.
I actually would have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure it's Pennsatucky. Have you? Is that right? I don't know. It's probably
There's
Pennsatucky.
no way I'll know.
Yeah, I don't know if I got it either. All right, here we go. Our top 5 sports stories. We're gonna start with number 5. We're getting in some MLB for you, Alvin. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred announced that he plans to retire when his current term ends in 2029 at the age of 65. He became commissioner in 2014 and has since been granted 2 5-year extensions. Manfred's tenure has been marked by his aggression, be it the collective bargaining agreement, rule changes, and perhaps most infamously, his imposing of a lockout after the 2021 season, leading to a nearly 4-month impasse with the MLB Players Association. He expressed doubts about resolving issues like expansion before his retirement, particularly due to challenges like the Oakland A's' potential move to Las Vegas. Despite that, though, he aims to lay the groundwork for expansion before his term ends. One final thought on that number 5 sports story. His tenure has been kind of weird because he's been in cahoots about, we're going to get a team to Las Vegas. It could have been Tampa Bay for a while. It could have been the A's, and then they're sticking with the A's, and I just really don't like the way him and John Fisher have handled this. And when him and John Fisher go right off into the sunset, I'm not even an A's fan. When him and John Fisher go right off into the sunset, good riddance for, a lot of the listeners out here who are big MLB fans, specifically Oakland A's fans. Anyways, our number 4 sports story. Here's a weird one for you, Alvin. I'm going to get into the video game world for you. EA Sports announced the release of the highly anticipated EA Sports College Football this summer with a full reveal scheduled for May. The game marks the return of the popular franchise, which ceased with NCAA football 2014, I think. In 2013, due to debates over compensating student athletes. Despite its absence, NCAA Football 14 has maintained a devoted following, with modders even creating updated versions. The new game is expected to incorporate player likeness and classic modes like Dynasty and Road to Glory, aligning with changes in college sports compensation policies. Excitement from football programs like Nebraska, UCLA, USC, and Missouri. By the way, USC, for those people out there that listen to this show, stands for University of Southern California. It doesn't stand for South Carolina, for whoever thinks that the Gamecocks, go Cox, by the way, whoever thinks they can call the Gamecock school USC. It is University of Southern California. And also Mississippi. And all those programs being excited suggests their inclusion in the game. So, Alvin, how soon after the game releases do you think you will buy it?
I'll probably buy it as it releases, just because like the nostalgia, like that was growing up, that was the game, especially Road to Glory in high school. That was the thing. I'm trying to pretend like I'm the guy going to get recruited. I hope they include some FCS schools in there, get some love down there as well. But no, that's the game of all games. Like there's a lot of things being done to make sure we can get this game going. I'm excited, especially because NIL is a thing now. Guys are going to get paid off of it. You can have their real names. You're not going to have number 5 from, USC knowing exactly who it is. So I'm excited the way that they roll out. Yeah, like you know who it is, but you can't put the name out there. So it's exciting
Also,
the way that the NIL is gone.
Side note, should we reinstate Reggie Bush's Heisman?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Since name, image, likeness is a thing now?
There's no reason why it shouldn't. Guys are second string Georgia getting Lambo Urises. Like there's no reason why the GOAT
Shedeur Sanders drives a Rolls Royce.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys in college right now that make more this past year than Brock Purdy did as a Super Bowl quarterback. So give that man his Heisman.
Yeah. Also, Marvin Harrison Jr. got offered $20 to $25 million to return to college football. Are you kidding me? Obviously, he's going to go to the NFL and he's going to be a top 5 draft pick. But $20 to $25 million? That's more than he's going to make in his first year in the NFL. I mean, obviously, you want to play in a show and everything, and to say you've gotten there, but $20 to $25 million. I don't even know if I could pass up on that. By the way, if you were a college football player, wouldn't it be cool to play as yourself in
1,000%
an NCAA game? I think every FBS athlete in college football is going to buy this game just to be able to play as themselves, because wouldn't you?
1,000%. There's no question about it, especially coming in as a freshman. That's a goal to be in a video game. So now you're in NCAA, you know who you are, you see your rating, and it just adds another chip to your shoulder. If you're a freshman coming in, you think you're going to be a 70 overall, you're a 52. And also if
that
you're
probably would have been me going into college football. I've been like, oh, I'm definitely at least an 80, and then I see the ranking and I'm like a 49. I'm never sniffing the field. All right, here we go. Our number 3 sports story for you, Alvin. We're going into some women's basketball real quick because that one thing didn't take long. With what else? A logo 3, just 132 seconds into the game versus Michigan. On Thursday night, Caitlin Clark, the senior from Iowa, surpassed former Washington All-American Kelsey Plum, who now plays for the Las Vegas Aces, to move into first place in the NCAA scoring record book. And the game wasn't even over yet. So what's next for Clark? She's on pace to break Pete Maravich's record of 3,667 points set from 1967 to 1970 when he played at LSU toward the end of Iowa's regular season. But the record that might matter even more to women's basketball historians and junkies is 3,649. That's how many points Lynette Woodard, a Wichita native, scored when she played at Kansas from 1977 to 1981. That was before the NCAA ran women's college sports, though. So Woodard's record is in the AIWA record books instead of the NCAA record books. But Alvin, Caitlin Clark probably is going to be the highest scoring NCAA player of all time. That's crazy.
De facto. I think the biggest thing with Caitlin Clark is the fact that there's no one moving the needle like she is in college basketball at all. She has a ticket that in college, The cheapest ticket at one point was $285. You're sitting in the top of the stadium. You can't even get in, and you're paying $285 per college. Most colleges, you can $500 is getting you probably courtside, and for that, she's not giving that up. So I think what she's been able to do as far as shooting, ball handling, and just superstardom, what she's brought to women's sports, college basketball in particular, along with what happened with South Carolina last year. I think that's just a microcosm of it. I'm excited for what's going on in women's basketball for sure.
And now for our number 2 sports story. Let's go into the NBA real quick, Alvin. The NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis is upon us, boasting a mix of familiar faces like LeBron James, alongside some newcomers
Naturally.
like Paolo Banchero, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Brunson, and Tyrese Maxey. The weekend features an array of events, as always, including traditional on-court competitions, a three-point contest between Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, and a game between historically black colleges and universities. With activities ranging from fan experiences to honoring basketball icons, the weekend serves as a celebration for fans worldwide, emphasizing the players' connection with their audience and the global appeal of the sport. Although I will say, you and I talk about this a lot. We think that All-Star Game has just become obsolete and they should just give them the week off. You can add on more than that.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing with the All-Star Game, you think early 2000s, mid 2000s, Kobe, Bron, that was the thing. You see AI, Jordan, you see all these guys. That was the time where they got to just really let loose. There's no plays, there's no triangle. It's just me versus you. We're on the park, we're hooping summer runs. That's what it looked like. Now it's not like that. You get 170 to 160. There's not a lick of defense being played, and it's not really a game that true basketball fans are trying to watch because it's not real basketball. You're not stealing any of these moves. You're not really locked in to see a star be a star. So love the skill side of it. Love, you got the 3-point shootout. The dunk contest is getting obsolete essentially because we've seen every dunk. There's once you miss one dunk, if you don't get it the second time or do something even better, the crowd's not into it anymore. You can lose the crowd really quick. So there's a couple of different things that you could do to spruce it up. Maybe mix in a couple of different things. The celebrity contest is always fun. But as far as the all-star basketball game, we could get out of that and allow these players to just get a week off, especially knowing that the superstars are in. They're going to be the ones going into postseason, doing things of that nature. Give them the week off. Let them do what they need to do, recover, get their mind right for the second half, the most important half of the basketball season.
Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. That was the pinnacle of the dunk contest. And ever since, I have just not wanted to watch. Nothing's going to beat that.
No.
Nothing's going to beat that. You can't, there's no way you could beat that. By the way, nobody's going to beat this. LeBron James, it's his 21st All-Star weekend in his 21 NBA seasons. He didn't make the All-Star game as a rookie. He made the weekend as part of the rookie game. He's made every All-Star game since, now the first player to be picked for the showcase in 20 different seasons. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a 19-time selection.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's one of those things where people are going to try to knock LeBron down just because if you're in a Jordan camp, you're one way, and you're going to always look at LeBron a certain way. But if you just objectively take that debate out and just look at a career for what it is, which is greatness and excellence, sustained excellence, you have to tip your hat off. That's incredible.
And now for our number 1 sports story. Alvin, I know you like my dad jokes. So
let's hear it.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one I like. So, what is the best way to cook toilet paper?
What's the best way?
Brown it on one side.
That's foul.
Oh, God. Sports Fluent Media has no idea what they're in for with this show. We're going to go down the rabbit hole, aren't we? I wish we could get into that more, but stay tuned because, our real number 1 sports story is coming up when we return.
Tune into the Hoopstorians, weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the sports scene for our second segment. We are going into... Oh, God. Do we really have to talk about this?
Let's do it. It has to happen.
This sucks, man.
It has to happen.
Why did we decide to come back the week after the freaking Super Bowl? Whose idea was that? I know it was mine, but that guy's stupid. Okay. Let me compose myself and, do this like little intro for this stupid game that no one even cares about except for the 200 million people that watch, making it the most watched telecast of all time. Okay, well, let's start off with this. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid have created a dynasty, Alvin. And they're already thinking about a three-peat.
Yeah.
First, they had to become back-to-back Super Bowl champions for the first time in 19 years. And Mahomes made sure of it, leading another Super Bowl comeback on the NFL's biggest stage in America's showcase capital. 3-yard touchdown pass to Mecole Hardman in overtime, and the Chiefs rallied to beat the San Francisco 49ers 25-22 last Sunday, becoming the NFL's 9th repeat Super Bowl champs. It hurts. I'm going to go into how we lost that game in just a sec. But first, Alvin, what were your thoughts on this game? I know you're probably the biggest Patrick Mahomes fan in the world. He is the best in the world, one of the best to ever play the game at the quarterback position, at least. And just an overall blunder by the San Francisco 49ers yet again for the third time in my lifetime in the Super Bowl in front of a crowd of 61,629 people. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so you know that place was rocking. The problem with Pat Mahomes is that this was the year, and you've heard it all over. This is the year that you're supposed to win. And I'm a Dolphins fan, so I witnessed it firsthand of what could be. Granted, it was negative 30 wind chill, so it felt terrible, and we played terrible. But somehow the Chiefs figured out a way, and then they go to Buffalo, and then they figure out a way. Then they go to the Ravens, and then they figure out a way against all these stout defenses, and then they get to the Super Bowl, and it just doesn't look like any of the Super Bowls we've witnessed so far. Granted, the first half of Pat Mahomes' Super Bowls, for some reason, first quarter for sure, he stalls a little bit trying to get his bearings. And you could attribute it to the media, all the stuff that he has to do as a quarterback, the pressure he may feel from, being so successful. He's only 6 years in, 5 trips, and 3 Super Bowls. Like, if you look at all that pressure, there's a bunch of different things that could be going on. But what we do know is that give him an inch, he will take the Lombardi home. That's just what he's done, especially in these moments. If your name's not Tom Brady, you're not going to be able to figure out a way against this guy or Joe Burrow, apparently. But what I love the most about this team, and this is obviously relatively speaking, during the regular season, I'm a Dolphins fan. We know what happens in the postseason there. So in the postseason, when I inevitably have to become another fan, I would say I love the fact that given a situation, Andy Reid's going to cook up something, and then everyone else is going to follow behind what Patrick Mahomes says in that huddle, and everyone believes that they're going to get the job done. Biggest blunder so far, what I witnessed, you think overtime, you have to be locked into the game plan. You have to be locked in on what's going on. You have to feel confident in what's going on. 49ers, were figuring out the rules that were on the Jumbotron. They were reading that and trying to figure out what's going on there. Versus the Chiefs, they knew exactly what they wanted. Oh, they want the ball? Okay, we know exactly what we're going to do. They're locked in on the game plan. I think that was a slight edge.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what Shanahan said, we want the ball third. If you're not going to let Patrick Mahomes get the ball second, makes sense. Don't let Patrick Mahomes get the ball. Like, I understand the defense was probably tired at the end of that fourth quarter specifically, and that's maybe why they wanted the ball on offense, because the defense was just run into the ground by the end of the fourth quarter. It's hard being on the field for that amount of time, and these extended drives the Chiefs were just putting together in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. It must have been hard to stay on the field, and maybe that's the reasoning or somewhat of a reason. I'm still trying to grasp my head around giving Patrick Mahomes the ball after you get the ball, specifically because you knew Mahomes and the Chiefs, they were thinking 4-down territory pretty much the entire length of the field. It was obvious that the 49ers were not thinking 4-down territory. If you're not thinking 4-down territory on an overtime drive against Patrick Mahomes, you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And even when you do take a shot and your name is Jake Moody for a point after, I'm actually going to get to that. So here's what went wrong in the game. Here's what went wrong. And it was mainly all on the 49ers, I will say. It was our game to lose. And the only team that's going to beat the 49ers, you said this earlier in the season, you said the only team that's going to beat the 49ers is themselves. And I honestly think the 49ers beat themselves in this game. Here are a few of the reasons.
For sure.
The first one, Dre Greenlaw had been terrorizing absolutely
Tough.
terrorizing the backfield of the Chiefs to start off the game in the first quarter. In the first drive alone, he had 3 tackles on first down, second down, and then third down. He had all of the tackles on the first drive by the Chiefs. He was in the backfield on 2 of them.
Dog.
Patrick Mahomes running for his life because Dre Greenlaw absolutely smoked Isaiah Pacheco as he tried to run right through the A-gap. So they see that. Okay, let's try to go away from him. Then on their second drive, he decides to go out and guard Travis Kelce. Kelce gets denied the ball as well. So Patrick Mahomes is just sitting in the backfield, not comfortable, because Dre Greenlaw has been everywhere. 49ers finally get a lead in the second quarter. Running onto the field, Dre Greenlaw tears his Achilles. Smokes his Achilles. He's going to be out for most of the summer and hopefully, in the fall. By the time the season starts, I'm going to pray that he's going to be able to come back because I love Dre Greenlaw so much, and him and Fred Warner are the best dynamic duo linebackers in the entire league. I don't care what anyone says. By the way, Fred Warner was ranked number 26th in the country by Pro Football Focus to start off the season.
Everyone knows he's the number one.
But I'm just saying, whoever makes Pro Football Focus, like, they're whatevers, that was just not right. Like, I just couldn't believe that they put that out there for the world to see on Sunday Night Football. Anyways, so Dre Greenlaw tears his Achilles. Now, Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden, gets a little more comfortable in the backfield, starts, throwing his passes, they kick a field goal, everything, starting to churn for the Chiefs, but 49ers still doing pretty good job. Then we have a punt. We're receiving a punt. And the guy who's staying with the gunner, our offensive player, return player, who's staying with the gunner, is running with the gunner, and he doesn't look up to find the football, and it hits off his ankle. Then Ray McLeod can't hold on to it, and so the Chiefs get it within the 49ers' 20-yard line. Obviously, they go up and score. Okay. Tie ball game. We go into the half. Still, 49ers have some momentum. Steve Spagnuolo, I will say, made one heck of an adjustment to shut off the run and dial up the blitzes in the third quarter specifically. And one thing you and I always say about third quarters, Alvin, it is the money quarter. That is the quarter that wins and loses football games. Now, in the third quarter, obviously, Kyle Shanahan could have run the ball more, is what people are saying. Christian McCaffrey had 30 touches this game. 30. That's a lot.
It's the type of runs, though.
And it's the type of run. In the first half, they had it all figured out. Who are we going to run behind? Our right side of our line or Trent Williams? Oh, wait. We have Trent Williams, who's probably the best left tackle of all time. Let's run behind that guy. First half, run game's working. They're getting 5 yards a carry on that first drive. And it was going to be a touchdown. Actually, I forgot the Christian McCaffrey fumble inside the Chiefs' 20-yard line, by the way, that gave them the ball at the beginning of the game. That was a drive that could have led – that we were easily in the score on that drive. I left that one out. Anyways, third quarter, we decided to start running the ball right. Okay, whatever. Brock Purdy, miracle pass. Juwan Jennings, touchdown. Extra point. Jake Moody, we have a rookie kicker who we picked in the third round, and he can't hit point afters. Are you kidding me? This is the biggest game. I understand he hit 2 50-yard field goals. That was pretty awesome. But up until this point in the playoffs, Jake Moody has missed a crucial kick in every playoff game. And it didn't cease to amaze me that he missed a point after in the most crucial moment of that Super Bowl. And then, of course, you give Patrick Mahomes the ball the second time in overtime.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. What is your assessment on all my stuff? It's just mental errors.
No, I agree. But then I just think they got outcoached. And I think one thing you have to realize, the acumen of a Super Bowl champion. And I think you keep that core, and the core, Travis Kelce's phenomenal. I think he's 1B, but the core consists of Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. That's number one. Spags as that DC, I think is right there with Kelsey. I think you can get another great DC in there, but I think those two, Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, and then you throw Kelsey in there, you throw what Spags was able to do with that defense, that is a conundrum for every team. We talked about, well, you particularly talked about the running and how Chris McCaffrey got 30 touches, but when you go away from what they're the 32nd or bottom half of the league in, which is zone rushes, you go away from that. I think that's a problem. I think that's a big problem because you have an advantage and you're not utilizing it. You have a Hall of Fame left tackle. You run zones behind that. You run powers behind that, and you're getting 5-6 yards. Okay, you get stopped, but the run game's the long game. It's something you set up for in that fourth quarter, that second half. And Kyle Shanahan knows that. He's coached so well. His elaborate offense is predicated on the run. I don't think Kittle got used enough. I thought Debo wasn't used enough. I thought he could have gotten some more action at backfield, a lot more screen passes, especially if you're playing off that power. I think Ayuk, there was going to be one receiver that got locked down, and I think Ayuk had to deal with that, and it's okay. But I think when he's locked up with their number one corner, and then you have Snead who's there doing his thing, but you can one-on-one, you should trust your receivers over a safety. If your offense, given route concepts, given schemes you could draw up to get them out of position. I think the biggest thing is the fact that you guys didn't establish the run and stick with it long enough to put the Chiefs in a bind that they couldn't get out of because they're too good to be up 17. You have to be up 27-0. And we've seen great comebacks like that. However, if you're the 49ers, it's tough because Kyle Shanahan in overtime, as a coach in general, obviously wasn't head coach with the Falcons, but it's 0-2. It's not where you want to be.
I mean, the one thing I will say is for the first, 18 years of him coaching, the whole story of Andy Reid was he couldn't win the big game.
Exactly. That's true. That's true.
He is. So there is time for Kyle Shanahan. The hardest thing for me to grasp my head around is the one problem, and I've waited to bring this up to you. This is the one problem that we did not address in the regular season that we knew was a problem. And that is the offensive line of the 49ers. How many pressures did Trent Williams give up? Quarterback pressures. How many quarterback pressures did Trent Williams give up in the Super Bowl, Alvin?
I would probably say Trent Williams in and of himself, probably
alone, all by himself. How many quarterback pressures did he give up?
I'm drawing a blank. I want to say less than 2.
It was 0. Do you know how many the rest of the line gave up?
The rest, all of them, all the pressures. But you know what I will
15.
say?
15 pressures.
That's not
15 pressures. 3 or 4 of which resulted in a sack, mainly
That's not good.
by Chris Jones because he went unblocked.
That's not good. And
now,
that's the last play too.
And the other thing I really want to talk about is Brock Purdy. He wasn't bad. Brock Purdy showed that he could be a quarterback in this league and he could play good enough to win in a Super Bowl. He went 12 for 18 for 131 yards and a touchdown when he was blitzed on Sunday. On the whole, he handled the pressure well. The 49ers just didn't give him a chance on that last third down when Chris Jones barreled down in free.
But
Too many untouched Kansas City blitzes.
That's, I think, another thing that is unfortunately on Brock. Okay, granted, coach, you could get him in a better situation. I think, again, outcoached in totality. But then when Brock Purdy gets more experience in these moments to go against a Spags, to go against a guy who's a Belichick, for instance, if he, we'll probably talk about that, but to go against a guy that can really just dial it up, understands who you are on film, and they're able to just put you in a bind, understanding where your protections are, where you can go to, and from there, understanding how to manipulate guys to get guys in your blind spot. Because there was a couple moments where he had Ayuk, he had 2 wide. Ayuk's the closest man to him. He's the number 2 receiver, and he's on a stick. But then he's looking to get to the X. He's trying to throw it there, force it there, where you had a quick reach. So I think, and that's not saying Brock Purdy played bad. I think Brock Purdy played more than well enough to win. He took care of the football. He didn't turn it over, and
That was
he
the
missed a
thing.
couple throws. He missed a couple throws, but all right, like your greats always miss a couple throws. It's a football game. You have defense. Like, that's not even. I think he played well enough to win that football game. It's just there's key moments where, if you get the protection to get Chris Jones, if you get that ball to Ayuk on that second down, if you there's certain moments that if he was able to take advantage of, I think that pushes him into that great category. But for now, he's really good and he fits the system and he's exploiting his options well. But I think the more reps he gets, because he's very young, the more reps he gets, he'll be able to understand how to make the line better and not, if the line isn't perfect, they're kind of out to dry. I think he'll be able to help them out and watch their backs a little bit better.
I mean, he's the youngest quarterback to ever start in the Super Bowl, but I mean, is it really on Brock Purdy to say, "Hey, somebody please block Chris Jones"?
No,
Like,
but set the
I would
line.
understand. I would understand if we left someone else unblocked, but they left their best defensive end unblocked 4 times in that game. And all 4 times, he had someone open that he could have thrown easily a touchdown to, but somehow the offensive line, pick any other guy, not the guy who literally held out for part of the season because he knows he's one of the best defensive ends in football and deserved to get paid his money. And by the way, Purdy marched the 49ers right down the field in overtime and would have thrown a touchdown to Ayuk in that overtime had there not been that blown protection versus Chris Jones.
Those 2 guys open.
It was wide open. But Brock Purdy, the second he says hut, Chris Jones is on top of his face. His butt is on top of Purdy's helmet. There was nothing he could have done. That's all I'm saying. And also, Steve Wilkes got fired. For all the people out there that say he shouldn't have gotten fired, it was because of the whole entire season. He didn't fit the system. The 49ers went from the number 1 defense in the league last year to the number 12 defense this year with the number 26 run defense in the league. So that's, I guess, what the reasoning was. Played a little bit too soft coverage. He had a cover 5, like I was telling you about, Alvin. He was playing cover 5 on a 2nd and 23 against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Make him throw the football. Make him throw the football. How many times has it worked earlier in the game? There was one time it worked. And you know what the one time happened? This safety didn't know where his hands and his feet were. He didn't know he was on a football field. He looked like he was lost. He was like Dora the Explorer, but he wasn't exploring anything.
He was exploring new ways.
That was the only
to find
time
L's.
that the downfield pass worked. And we're playing cover 5 on a 2nd and 23 against Patrick Mahomes with only 3 minutes left in the game. You stop them there. You get the ball back. You get a first down. The Kansas City Chiefs have to burn their final 2 timeouts. You win the Super Bowl. And we're playing cover 5. Have you ever played cover 5 in Madden? No. What do? You engage 8. You engage 8, 2nd and 23. Let's bring the house, baby. Cover 5?
Oh,
Who?
no, yeah.
What?
They should have definitely stayed because they ran a lot of they ran a lot of Tampa 2, which just variations of cover 2 in general. But
Yes.
I just like where I get the idea. Okay, let's have 5 Bs out there. Let's get in our nickel package, and from there, let's rock out. But the problem is, it's just way too soft. They don't have a Tyreek Hill that's going to blow the top off. Like you're man for man. You can cover these guys. So I feel like the lack of trust there was a little bit wild. Unless they didn't know what they were supposed to do, and he maybe had something dialed up where safe is going to blitz off the edge. But it was a little soft for my liking as well. So I thought that was a little wild. And going to the safety that Superman off Space Jam got his power stolen, like mid-play, controller died, whatever you want to call it. That was insane because realistically,
Like, what are we
if he gets
doing?
a pick there in that moment, because now it's looked at, that was a beautiful throw by Pat Mahomes, right on the money, which it was. But then if that guy
It was in the
trust
double
himself. Just
coverage.
trust
You're
yourself.
supposed to just look up and you see the football. Oh my goodness.
Taking that thing
This
to
is
the
an
crib,
act
Oski.
of God. The football gods want me to win the Super
Dropped
Bowl.
it in his
Wow.
bucket.
This is the easiest pick of my life that Patrick Mahomes is just handing to me on a silver platter. And we don't look up.
But you know what I will say though? Okay, in totality, going to the Chiefs, the winners, I think the biggest thing, you see the relationships that they've instilled. On 49ers,
Yes.
coach gets fired. Wilkes apparently had a bad relationship with the guys. Bosa's outing him apparently in pressers early on in the season. All this stuff's getting drummed up about how there was a good connection. Versus on the sideline, you see something that's clearly a heated, passionate argument. Not really argument. Travis Kelce's just screaming at him, letting him know, listen, I need to be in this game. I'm the best tight end. I need to be in this game at all points and times. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go. But the manner at which he did it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And obviously, if you're not in a locker room, you don't understand how a lot of these things go, especially the mindset of an athlete to be great at a sport like this. You have to have something too. You have to have that factor, that mode you could switch on. And in that moment, he had nowhere to, express that, and he expressed it, unfortunately, because it's definitely not something you condone. But in that moment, it happened. But like he mentioned on his podcast, the biggest thing is you have that connection with your guys. And if you can have that connection to where you can be as raw as that in a game, you are poised to win a lot, and a lot more is coming. And that's what I think Pat Mahomes means when he says, hey, like, this is just the beginning, because this was a year that they weren't ready to go. They just had a defense, Pat Mahomes, and they had Travis Kelce. Everyone else stepped up and played incredible, well beyond their contracts, and next year they're probably going to try to get a guy that is disgruntled in his organization trying to win. You never know the type of receivers, the caliber of guys they could get on their squad. So looking at the Chiefs and what they're able to do this year, running through the face of the Dolphins, who was at one point the best offense in the league, running through the face of Josh Allen and the Bills, who's always tough, running through the face of a almost two-time unanimous, but two-time MVP nonetheless in Lamar Jackson, and the number one defense at one point. And then running through the face of the 49ers, which was another number one defense, who also is an all-star talent, who have all pros littered through the roster. So to run through that gauntlet of guys, do you think it's scripted? I had to just throw you. Do you think it was scripted? Because there's just no way that all that happened.
Probably. I mean, you want the face of your league to win. Tom Brady was the face of the NFL.
All the best guys.
And he won 7 Super Bowls. Before him, it was Joe Montana. He was the face of the league. He won 6. You need your face of the league to win. So, was it scripted? 100,000%, Alvin. 100%.
Don't run power left. No zones left. Fumble on the
Just
spot.
run behind Trent Williams next Super Bowl, guys. Just please do that. Anyways, I'm going to put myself out of my misery. We got to go to commercial break, and we'll be back with Paul Mokeski in just a second.
Everything football, Mondays and Fridays, 11 a.m.
Welcome back to the Sports Scene, everyone. For our third segment, we are joined for Coach Mo's Corner in our first episode of 2024 by the big man himself, former NBA center and coach, Paul Mokeski. Coach, so good to have you back on the Sports Scene. And unfortunately, for me at least, congratulations to your Kansas City Chiefs on winning the Super Bowl over my San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, it's it was an up and down game, and the first half, except if you're a 49er fan, I guess was boring as hell. I mean, 0-0.
No, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's like
having a 10-0 lead for all of 5 minutes felt fantastic.
And then the Chiefs come in, Mahomes does his thing, and blunder on the coin flip decision. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking.
Our defense was tired, Coach. Okay, our defense was tired. That's the reasoning, and I'm sticking with it.
Or I'm going with the third possession theory. We're going to wait for the third possession. But then you make things worse. Players come out and say, "Well, we didn't know it." Are you kidding me? You're in the Super Bowl. You don't think you've gone through every scenario you can think of? Maybe you weren't listening in the meetings there, buddies. Maybe you weren't listening. And the Chiefs were definitely on point, and all the players knew. And they pretty much knew they were going to go for 2 if it was, if it was a chance to win the game. And, but really, when you think of all these games, I mean, you think of the Ravens fumble on the 1-foot line, and, the Lions lose to your 49ers because a ball hits a guy's face mask and the guy catches it for a 52-yard reception. And then even in the Super Bowl, the punt hits the guy's foot, and then they can't recover the fumble. I mean, these, sports in general, but especially in that situation, little things like that cost, victories and Super Bowls and championships and contracts. And, the 49ers defensive coach was fired already. And, I thought he did a heck of a job against the Chiefs and
the Super Bowl, but it was a culmination of the entire season. So
yeah, but still, so they're a top 5 defensive team in the league. So you get fired.
Well, unfortunately, we were number 12 when it came down to it at the end of the season. And we dropped from – so the whole point was we dropped from number 1 in the previous year from 2022 to 2023 and 2023 to 2024. Pretty much the same personnel. Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga tore his ACL, one of our star safeties and defensive backs. But our defense dropped from number 1 to number 12. So that's kind of, I think, where Kyle Shanahan.
And we all know that it's the coach's fault. We all know that, not the players.
Yep.
Coaches.
Yep. Coach, before we get into some basketball stuff real quick, I just want to say congratulations. You're also on YouTube now. You have your show on Monday nights on YouTube. We Got Next with Ricky Hampton. Is that correct? Courtesy of Sports Fluent Media, right?
Yep, we just switched over. We're excited. We talk basketball, we talk football, and a little bit of everything. And obviously with the focus on NBA and NCAA. But we're excited to be with the new company and see where we're going. And we're teammates with you guys.
Yeah, you are. You're teammates with the sports scene, baby. But it's a good thing that, we're on the weekends and you guys are on Mondays, because then I can have you on the weekends as well, which is perfect for us because you're our favorite basketball voice in the entire world because you speak a lot of good truth. Coach, let's get into some of that truth of who were your biggest winners and losers of the 2024 NBA trade deadline. Obviously, there was a flurry of activity in the 24 hours before the deadline passed Thursday afternoon, albeit without any current stars changing teams. I think the biggest trades that were completed during this season came earlier with James Harden going to the Clippers in November. You had OG Anunoby go from the Toronto Raptors to New York Knicks, and Pascal Siakam went to the Indiana Pacers well before the deadline. And the biggest name considered likely to be traded last week, Atlanta Hawks guard DeJounte Murray, ended up staying put, and the team reported to have interest in him. The in-season tournament champion Los Angeles Lakers ended up not making any moves. Obviously, it came out later on that maybe the Warriors were considering trying to pair Stephen Curry with LeBron James under Steve Kerr's coaching. But we'll get into that at a later time. So, Coach, let's break down who helped themselves the most at the deadline and who might regret moves made or not made. My first winner for you is the New York Knicks. Somehow. Wait, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so but the Lakers didn't make any move, but they did pick up Dinwiddie, who was waived, and that's a good pickup.
Yeah, on a buyout, which was good for them. Yeah,
and there's going to be a couple more of those happening probably.
Of course. But we're talking about the trade deadline. That was just a buyout. Trade deadline for you, Coach, the New York Knicks. Even if we don't include the Anunoby trade, which was struck, by the way, in late December, it's possible no team upgraded more than the Knicks. So New York was able to add a pair of quality contributors in Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, filling a long-term need for the second unit and their scoring, and a short-term need in the front court with Anunoby and all-star Julius Randle currently sidelined by injury. But it seems like the Knicks can now fire on all cylinders with that backcourt from Villanova, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and they picked up something else they drastically needed, shooting.
Yeah.
And Bogdanovic is a 47% three-point shooter. So that opens the floor for Brunson and Randall and everybody else. And then what's overlooked is Alec Burks. He's a veteran that's been around, and the guy can score. I mean, he could score 20 on any night. So they've strengthened their bench and got deeper. And with their mentality, their defensive mentality, their defensive-minded coach, their physicality, they just increased their odds of getting a chance at the East than anybody. And, with their backup center, Harkenstein, the 7-footer who's physical, block shots, and Achamara, they're deep as a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams in the NBA that their starting five look really, really good. But once you get past that, they really drop off. And as we know, in a 7-game series in the playoffs, you need 7, 8, 9 guys to be able to move on to the next series. And
Yeah, absolutely.
boy, they did. And they didn't give up a lot. They didn't
No.
have to give up a lot. So, that's key because a lot of people think trading in the NBA is like fantasy league. It's not. You have to match up salaries. You got to match up salary cap. And then you can't give up the farm to get a great player because then he's got nobody to play with. And the Knicks accomplished all of that. So they're going to be interesting to deal with here at the end and see if they make a serious run. I don't know if anybody catches the Celtics, but the Knicks can move up and talk about the Bucks and the Cavs and get that second spot, which is huge because then you don't have to play the Celtics till the Eastern Finals.
So at the beginning, one of my first losers before the buyout market, just specifically talking about the trade deadline, I actually thought one of the losers was the Lakers because I think their plan is LA is apparently just going to wait until the summer when they'll have 3 first-round picks available to go after a superstar, which is fine. But it means that the team is content riding out this season with a roster currently fighting for a play-in spot, Coach, one that certainly has not proven it's capable of winning a title, except for an in-season tournament title.
Yeah, well, didn't they get to the West Finals last year in a play-in spot? So they have that experience. They got LeBron. They got AD playing at a high level. And quite frankly, what I thought happened is the Lakers went on a roll right before the trade deadline. And I think they won like 4 big games on the road. And so they're feeling good about themselves. And, when you look at their roster, they're talking about trading D'Angelo Russell, who I'm not a big fan of him, but he's played great before up to the trade deadline too.
Yeah.
So, everybody else wanted Austin Reeves to be in the deal, and the Lakers aren't willing to give that up. And they have, they got a player in the offseason, Gabe Vincent, who's been hurt all year, and he's a big time player. They picked up Christian Wood, and they got Cam Reddish, and then Dinwiddie. So. They were going, okay, do we go for it now and make a big trade, or do we sit back? Because I think in the back of their mind, they have LeBron, AD, they got some good role players just like last year, and I think they think they can make a run at this thing. I don't know if I believe that or not, but they do.
Absolutely. And my next loser, unfortunately, is our Golden State Warriors, because Stephen Curry's Warriors were in a bind, loaded with underperforming veterans with limited value and trade value, and rising youngsters they would like to keep around. And the hope was that Mike Dunleavy Jr., the Warriors' new general manager, would put his stamp on the organization and choose a path by stocking up on veteran talent or moving off some of the pieces that aren't working so well anymore. Instead, Golden State will chug along, hoping that Draymond Green's return from suspension and a breakout stretch from Jonathan Kuminga can help Curry get back into the playoff picture. By the way, the whole experiment with Kuminga and Wiggins on the floor was horrible this season. I think they were like minus 321 in their minutes together. But with Draymond Green back, they're at plus 121 so far. And in the last 15 games, can you guess what 2 players in the NBA, Coach, what dynamic duo has the highest plus minus in all of basketball? I'll give you a little trivia question here. Last 15 games, what point guard and forward have the highest plus minus in the NBA?
Kuminga and Curry.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, Coach. It's almost like you played basketball for a living and then coached it. 20-something years.
You threw me a lob and I finished it.
There we go. I'm your point guard. You're my big man down low. Bow. All right. But the losers, the Golden State Warriors, who actually took a very bad loss against the Clippers. Not really a way you want to go into those final 2 games before the All-Star break. By the way, that's a huge thing that you can talk on. The final 2 games before the All-Star break are huge because you want to go to into the All-Star game hitting your stride, having some momentum. And that loss to the Clippers, that one hurts a little bit more, specifically because Kawhi Leonard didn't play. Tyronn Lue got ejected. Paul George fouled out, and you still blew a 15-point lead in that game.
Yeah, because Powell came alive and had 21 points in the fourth quarter. But
yeah,
you're talking about before the All-Star break. It's a double-edged sword. So, good teams finish strong in the last 2 games before the All-Star break and get on a roll and kind of get some rest. bad teams have a tendency to think about, well, you know what, we don't win this game, we're going to get some rest, and we can come back, and we're going to make a run at it the last 30 games, and that's the problem. And you have to be mentally tough. And the Warriors were playing a lot better since Draymond's been back, and like you said, with Wiggins and Kuminga, they've been playing better together because he's in the lineup. He's a distributor, but he's also scored 21 and 27 points, which is un-Draymond-like. Unfortunately, he's starting to act a fool again. I mean, he got kicked out of the game the other night, and he's getting back into his old, antics that, he promised he wasn't going to do up to that point.
But did we believe that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but the problem is now, I think sentiment's got to the Warriors. Have got to them over the last couple of years where they don't want to get rid of Draymond. They don't want to get rid of Clay because they're the guys that have won championships and they were great teams. But at some point, it's a diminished return. And now, unfortunately, Wiggins was a valuable asset till he played like crap this year and averaged 12 points a game. Clay was an asset, and now he's not playing very good. So they're assets. Nobody wants those guys much anymore, for what you want to get for them. So they're in a catch-22. But the end-all, be-all, what they didn't do in the offseason, what they haven't done for 2 years, what I've been telling on your show for 2 years now, they have no size. They have
we
no
don't
size.
like guys above 6'9", Coach.
Yeah. So
there's nobody on the roster that's above 6'9".
You got to play the Joker. You got to play LeBron and AD. You got to just get past the West, and then
think about the East. You have Embiid,
Porzingis,
Giannis.
and Embiid, and Giannis, and Lopez, and they
so
just
screwed.
didn't. They just didn't get any better, and it's unfortunate. But their time is, pretty much run out. And it's unfortunate for Steph Curry, who's playing phenomenal. I think he had 41 last night, and, he's not getting much help. And, that's going to wear on him.
Steph Curry, the first player ever to have 7 threes in 4 consecutive games, Coach. He's playing out of his mind right now, and he just really needs some help. So hoping that this offseason that they could go back in 2. What?
Did you see the shot he made? Did you see the shot he made?
The full court heave?
Oh, my God.
One-armed heave?
People have no idea how hard that is. Not only to have the aim, but to have the strength to get it all the way.
He's ridiculous. He's absolutely incredible, and he's absolutely the best shooter that the universe has ever encountered. Coach, my final question for you. Thursday's trade deadline was all about the role players. So backup point guards, spot-up shooters, defensive specialists, locker room leaders, all went flying around the NBA. Not one player we'd consider a star was traded. And instead, it was a host of solid supporting pieces, some of which we'll be seeing deep into the playoffs. Who do you think some of those pieces are?
Well, first, I don't agree with you that no stars. Siakam was traded to Indiana, and he's 22 and 8 or something like that.
Yeah,
so he's up there. He's not a superstar, but he's
not a superstar though. He's solid.
So like Indiana, picking him up, because
Tyrese Halliburton's a superstar.
Yeah, I mean he's averaged 22, 4, and 12, but in the in-season tournament, Indiana was the front runner for the NBA championship. Remember that? That was like 2 months ago, and now they've fallen by the wayside, and part of it because Halliburton's been hurt, but Siakam's going to help them, but not going to give them over the hump. And I don't think in the East anybody's going to catch Boston. It'll be an interesting series that'll come. My Bucks are a real mind-boggling situation. How they're not better. And people out there got to realize, man, that players are now dictating what these teams do a lot. And Giannis, passive-aggressive during the summer, said, you know what, I want to sign. I want to be here in Milwaukee, but, if we don't make moves and put people around me. So they made the move. And they got rid of Holiday, and they brought in Lillard, and it's not working out. And they fired the coach that was 13 and 6 or whatever he was, and they brought in Doc Rivers, and now, they're 1 and 6 or whatever since that. And, that's mind boggling to me. And, My situation with that is, Middleton's been struggling, just like Clay has been struggling, just like Wiggins has been struggling. So why don't you make a splash at the trade deadline and bring someone younger in for him? But they didn't do that. But what I see everybody should look at, and I see it coming like a freight train, man. And I told you this a while back. If you look at all the rosters in the whole league, Boston Celtics have a great roster, 1-10. Actually, the Bucks have a great roster, 1-10. Denver won a championship with 7 players, really. But the best roster out there is probably the Los Angeles Clippers, who are on a roll. And they have they have Harden, who came up. I didn't believe he could do it, but he's come on and been a leader. Kawhi.
How about that? He proved both of us wrong. We both came on here and said he's a crybaby. He's going to put on the fat suit. He's just going to go to the next team and self-implode it. But I think he's actually been willing to take more of a backseat role with this team and actually just be a true point guard, get the ball to your playmakers in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and get the hell out of the way.
So over the last years, Harden's been averaging 28, 30, 35. He's averaging 17 points a game. 17 and 12. The other person that's really done a great job, and I've been on him too, is Westbrook. Now, Westbrook's coming off the bench. He's absorbed that role. He's not pouting. He's actually calming people down. And when you look at their roster with Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, Westbrook, Norman Powell, Zubac, who's a serviceable big, along with Plumlee, who's a 7 foot, 270 pound.
Yeah, don't forget about Mason Plumlee.
You got PJ Tucker, who is taking a break now to get his head right. Come on, man. So, but if he comes back with a mindset of him to help this team win a championship, the Los Angeles Clippers, with a multi-billionaire owner, with a brand new arena coming in next year, they can make a run at this thing and open up a, $3 billion arena, whatever, in LA, and put up a banner for the first year in that arena would be something else. But the way they're playing, their roster strength, they're the team to watch in the home stretch here in the NBA. I can see definitely, barring any injuries or craziness, Celtic Clipper, not Laker, finals.
Celtics Clippers finals. All right, Coach. You stamped it here on the sports scene. We're holding you to that. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Sound good? Good luck with the show and everything. I hope you and Ricky, really like the YouTube experience. You guys deserve to be on it. You guys got a great show. We got next on Monday nights at what time, Coach?
9 o'clock Eastern time. Tune in.
9 o'clock Eastern time. We got next. That's Coach Mo and Ricky Hampton show. And you can always catch Coach Mo here on the sports scene as well for his own segment, Coach Mo's Corner. And we got one more segment coming up in a sec here on the sports scene.
Get more of Coach Mo Mondays at 9 p.m. We got next.
Welcome back to the sports scene for our final segment. Everyone, we're going to go into Take It or Leave It, which is a game we usually play at the beginning of our seasons, and at the end of our seasons, we'll sprinkle it in the middle just every now and then. But we wanted to play Take It or Leave It. I'm going to give Alvin a clause that's an opinion that I might have read somewhere or that I came up with myself. And he's going to either take it and agree with it and give us a reason why, or he's going to leave it, disagree with it, tell us why. All right, Alvin, take it or leave it. Patrick Mahomes will win another Super Bowl.
No, I'll take that for sure. For sure, man.
Really?
Listen, and I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm just very upset that it goes from one dynasty in the AFC to another dynasty in the AFC.
Yeah.
And just like, dog,
Jeez.
like what? We got nothing. We just and the runner up is just another guy that's not our guy. So when Tom Brady was doing this thing, it was Eli Manning. He gets 2, and it's just not our guy. And then now it's Pat Mahomes, and it's probably gonna be Lamar, or I think Josh might get it depending on who we get. So. Yeah, I think Pat Mahomes, probably within the next 3 years, he'll win another one, honestly. This was the worst his team's ever looked.
Yeah, the worst. Imagine that. The worst his team has ever looked, he won the Super Bowl. And the best his team has ever looked, they won the Super Bowl. That's incredible to me. And they've won 2 now without Tyreek Hill. They traded away Tyreek Hill
back to back.
And kept winning. Also, by the way, don't you love how they told Kadarius Toney, hey, stay home for the playoffs. We'll pay you.
Send me
Stay
my
home.
money.
for the playoffs. So they won, bro. That's insane to me. Like, the fact that you could do that in the pros is wild. Anyways, wait, actually, side note, hold on. Joe Burrow is going to be healthy again next year. And hopefully he's going to be
That's his
healthy the
only
year after that.
kryptonite.
That is Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite. Joe Burrow is
Yeah.
going to get one at some point. If he gets,
I
take
would
it or leave
think
it.
so.
If Joe Burrow gets one Super Bowl, is he a Hall of Famer? Because that means he won in the
think-
Patrick Mahomes era.
I think, but also I think that's going to be, if his resume looks like Aaron Rodgers, yes. If he has an MVP, I think if he leads the league in pass yards, touch, just something like that, and as he consistently takes care of the football and progresses from what we've seen, I say yes, because I think the world of Joe Burrow. I think that man got it. He got that it factor. He got it upstairs in his head, but I just don't know how healthy he's going to be. And that's something we threw on a lot of different quarterbacks. But with him, if his healthy seasons continue to look as good as we've seen, yes. If his healthy seasons start to diminish because of the injuries, I would have to say no, or maybe like a fifth ballot in Hall of Famer, I guess, if you keep getting denied and eventually squeak in.
That's fair. Okay. Take it or leave it. The 49ers will win a Super Bowl at some point in the next 5 years.
Ooh, 5 years? I would take it, man, with an asterisk, a big asterisk, because definitely think I definitely think you found your guy. I think you found your guy in
Brock Purdy? Yeah,
I think he did. But then
we definitely did.
things are going to look a lot different. Greenlaw, what does he look like? From there, I think defense stays intact and get a good coordinator. There's a couple out there. You talked about it earlier, Belichick. There's a couple of guys you can get.
Like Vrabel. That's my guy.
Vrabel's the guy. Yeah, I think Vrabel's the guy.
You want a new head coaching job? We are just the group.
Hey, send the promo. Send the promo.
Dude, you get a head coach. You get a head coach. Everybody gets a head coach. If you come to the 49ers and you're the defensive coordinator, that's all I'm saying. Okay, Alvin, take it or leave it. We're going to move over to basketball. We're going to kind of just run through everything we kind of talked about this entire show. So take it or leave it. De'Aaron Fox deserved to be in the All-Star game. He was one of the snubs that everyone was talking about. De'Aaron Fox deserves to be in the All-Star game. Is there anybody you would take out for him? In the West, you have to be out of the Western Conference. So your starters are Luka, Shea, LeBron, KD, and Jokic. That makes sense.
But then
your reserves are D-Book, Steph, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi, and Karl Anthony Towns.
I'm sorry. I can't. Because I have to take out guard. I'm leaving it because
really?
Booker's nice. Steph is Steph. Anthony Edwards, realistically, if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be Devin Booker. Anthony Edwards, I think, he's one of the most exciting players to me. Anthony Edwards. Like, I think
he just has that it factor where he's looking to kill. Like, he is just looking to
what'd you expect?
Make a highlight off of you.
Jordan's son. Jimmy Butler's like that. Anthony Edwards like that. Listen, they got it right. Unfortunately, they got it right.
Okay, well, take it or leave it then. Domantas Sabonis deserves to be in the All-Star game. He leads the league in rebounding. He's averaging nearly a triple-double, 19.9 points per game, 13 rebounds, 8 assists per game. He's also shooting 62% from the field.
Hey, he's made me some money. We're not gonna talk about.
And he leads the league in double doubles. Come on.
Yeah, we got to get a little sponsorship first. But I would say in this case, I gotta go. I gotta get out of there. Man.
I was gonna say the same thing. I think Karl Anthony Towns.
Out of there.
Yep.
I gotta get. Him
I was
out of
gonna
there
say
the thing with Sabonis is that he at the same position he's leading metrics, and then from there, if you just watch the game consistently, Sabonis is getting it done, doing the nitty-gritty, doing exactly what he needs. Where Cat, okay, did he have that scoring explosion? For sure. And I think that is what kind of garnered all the votes that he's gotten. But from there, it's not a true roller coaster ride, but if you're comparing it to Sabonis, then I think he doesn't bring enough to the table outside of that explosion offensively than what Sabonis is doing. But I think because Sabonis isn't flashy, he's not dropping no 70. Like, that's not coming from him. I think it's hard for the viewers to be like, yep, that's true basketball. Let's get him in. But that's a snub. I'm leaving that one. Or taking it, I guess.
And also, I was going to say he's played every single game this season, which I think has to count for something. right?
He's a dog, man. He's a dog. Like, he's second generation. Dad was in there doing his thing, and I think his IQ's there, ball handling, whatever as a big is incredible in general. He's not really running the point, but his IQ's there. Hustle, he got heart, and then I think the hard nose for the basketball is the biggest thing with him. Like, his ability to snag rebounds and then play defensively. He's not getting blocks, but he's in the right position, helping the helper, doing what needs to be done. Just playing the game the right way, I think. It sucks that he didn't get in.
Take it or leave it. And this is a guy you and me both really like, and I was praying to the basketball gods for him to get traded to the Warriors, but then we decided to do nothing at the trade deadline except send a player away. But Lauri Markkanen should have made the All-Star game. Take it or leave it. He's been fantastic this season.
I'm taking
He's a top
that.
20 player in the league. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking.
Who are you taking out?
Okay,
Cat again?
that's what I'm looking at. Well, I guess the de facto is Cat, because I would say in general, Cat is the guy that out of everyone is.
I mean,
is
yeah,
the least.
it would make sense if you take out Cat, because then you give the Minnesota Timberwolves one, the Utah Jazz get one. You already have Anthony Edwards.
Cat has to go because Lauri Markkanen, he's a guy, I think, given the confidence, and if you get him on a hot night and his teammates understand what type of a night it is, I think he could give you 60. He could give you 70. He could give you an offensive explosion. And from there, his role dictates that he's a scorer. He can do the other stuff that, Sabonis is doing and what you expect from a typical big. But I think how he spreads the court is incredible. So, yeah, I think he lighted up.
He's averaging over 23 points per game this season and 8 rebounds. But mind you, this dude is 7 feet, shooting 40% from three-point range.
He is who
on 8 attempts per game. It's not like it's like 1 or 2. He's shooting 40% from 3 on over 8 attempts per game. Utah is a 500 team, by the way, but without him, they suck. Take it or leave it.
Let's do it.
LeBron James will not be on the Lakers come next season.
I want to take that because there's so much. Like, apparently the Warriors were you guys were looking after him. That was an option. It's year 21. Bronny's going to be coming up soon, so he's trying to make sure his team is ready for that. There's a lot of he is linked with a bunch of different places, and another thing too, he posted some cryptic message of a timetable or a time, like the sign, whatever, the hourglass. That took me forever to get that out, but when he put that in the hourglass, and sometimes he looks disgruntled on the side, and with a guy like that, his ability to just get people out of there. Get people gone. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. Or he himself finish out his contract, because he doesn't just leave without, but he'll finish out his contract and then find a team that's most suitable to grow with his son. I think that is always on the table. So I'm pretty sure if they don't do nothing this year, he's going to be the first one out of there trying to make sure he creates a good environment.
If I was an NBA coach, and I love LeBron James, if I was an NBA coach, I would hate to be LeBron's coach. Because what are you doing?
Sure.
He's part-time coach already. So what am I doing on the sideline? Just praying every day I don't get fired? That's
pretty.
no way to live. Yeah, getting paid, but you always know your days are numbered. So take it or leave it. Caitlin Clark needs 98 points to beat Pistol Pete's record.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. She'll get it done in 3 more games.
That's tough. Let me see how risk-averse I am right now. I would say
she just put up
3 games,
49 career points or 49 points against Michigan.
But she has to have an off game. So I'll give her and her off game.
When does she have an off game?
30. But a 30 ball is an off game for her.
Okay.
So let's give her 30 the next game. Let's give her. I think she's due for another. She's giving you 70 a week. If she got 2 games, she's going to give you 7. She's going to give you 50. I want to say it depends on who they play, but it really doesn't. I'll take it.
You take that. You take that to the bank. I mean, she could score half of that in 1 game. I think you have 2 more games.
I wouldn't be surprised.
La-di-da, everything's all good.
She's holding up a board saying 71. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's actually really true. Okay, final take it or leave it, Alvin. Out of all the sports you and I have called together, you're most excited to call beach volleyball with me.
Take that, baby.
All right.
Listen, I think the reason why I'm so excited for beach volleyball is just because.
Yeah, please do tell.
It's we're out. I love being by the beach. You know, I'm from Naples, man, right on the water. So I like being in the sand, and from there, got the
On a
sun in
school
your
campus.
eyes. And I think the biggest thing. Listen, why are you going into all these details? All right, so
That's the
I
question.
think
I'm just curious.
it's just the sheer athleticism that we're gonna witness. Like working in a sand pit, everything's firing. Stabilizers. There's so much muscles that are firing. For you to be able to be as mobile and as athletic, deal with the adversity, and excel at a high level, that's the reason why I'm excited for beach volleyball.
That's it for this episode. Thank you, Coach Mo. Thank you, Alvin. And thank you all for tuning into the show on iHeartRadio and iHeartRadio podcasts. A little shout out, at the beginning you hear live from Orlando, Florida. You're listening to the sports scene. That was Barry Mostel, who unfortunately just passed away recently. He was one of my mentors, a mentor to the show. There would be no sports scene without Barry. And really, he helped Alvin and I solidify kind of our vibe together on air, because Barry would hop on when Alvin and I were calling minor league basketball and chat with us. And he helped both of us learn more about the game from a coach's perspective, not just from our perspectives, like Alvin playing it and me growing up watching it over the years. So big rest in peace to Barry Mostel, huge friend of the show. He was family, and we will miss him dearly, but we're going to play his voice at the beginning of every episode for as long as the sports scene goes, because Barry was an integral part of this show, and we're going to miss him dearly. I'm going to miss him dearly. So, Barry, love you, miss you, mean it. Hey, everyone, you want a little more sports madness in your life? Hey, tune back in on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time, or find us on whatever streaming platform that you use. Also, rate, comment, download the show, and now subscribe. Sports Fluent Media. We're on YouTube. Come hang out with us every Saturday morning whenever you feel like it. Cup of Joe and the sports scene with Jesse Ough. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you right back here next week on the sports scene with Jesse Ough, presented by First Bet.